You are here watching right now because you've taken action and you want to build long-term wealth. So, today we're going to talk about how we can rewrite the wealth rulebook in order to accelerate your journey to financial independence and freedom. So, firstly, I'm going to make the assumption that you're here today because you have financial freedom as a goal and you like to build wealth whilst you sleep. Now, this is me and our crazy Asbo French Bulldog, Cersei, or Queen Cersei, as she likes to be referred to. This is us building wealth whilst we sleep, although Cersei's more of a wealth drain than anything else, but that's a different story. And I'm not saying this to gloat or to show off or to say, look at us. Couldn't be further from that. All I'm trying to do is I'm trying to highlight how making our money grow passively is very, very easy and very, very possible for all of us. But firstly, in 2019, that definitely wasn't the case for me and Steph. I was working 70-hour plus weeks. I was being deployed all over the world at short notice. I didn't have any control over my financial future, over my life. I was spending every single minute of every single day exchanging my time for money. And that probably sounds familiar for quite a few of you watching this video. And as is ever the case, there was a few traumatic events that happened in quick succession that put things into perspective. And at that point back in 2019, I realized that if I was ever going to escape the rat race, that I was going to have to do something different. Me and Steph were going to have to do something different if we really wanted genuine financial freedom. So a little bit about me, just if you're coming to this video now, if this is the first time that you've seen me speak, my name is Lucy Ingram. I'm a veteran, a very proud veteran, 21 years service. I retired back in the summer of 2022 after 21 years of service to jump into the crazy world of business, entrepreneurship, becoming a full-time investor, coach, speaker, the whole shebang. And it has been one hell of a ride so far. Lots of amazing highs, some pretty incredible lows as well, and everything in between. But as we all know, life is certainly never linear, and we take the rough with the smooth. We celebrate the wins. We embrace the lessons as we go, and we make sure that we surround ourselves with good people who lift us up along that journey. And quite early on into our investing journey, which was back in 2018, 2019, 2019, that we realized something quite early. Now, we started off in property, as I'm sure many of you maybe watching today have a similar kind of journey. Now, we started off in bricks and mortar property, and we realized quite early on in that journey that yes, property is an amazing investment. It's a great way to leverage, but it's not exactly passive. And we decided quite early on that we were going to get educated and start to diverse our investing journey. We started investing into the stock market. We got ourselves educated on the basic principles of wealth, not just property. And as I mentioned before, we started investing in the stock market. We started kind of learning those basic principles, and slowly but surely we started to build up our stock portfolio because we wanted our money to work as hard as we were, and we wanted it to be working 24/7. So even when we were sleeping, so we could just go on enjoying our lives and enjoying the ride, which is what we're all about. Now, I'm not a financial professional. I'm not an IFA. I'm not a tax advisor. Anything that you hear today is not personal tax advice. But we've been doing this now for the last kind of 5 to 6 years. We've so far built a portfolio, a stock portfolio of 6 figures, which is on its way to hit 7 figures in the next 10 to 15 years. And I'd like to share today what I've learned along the way, or a little bit anyway, of what I've learned along the way. And hopefully it's going to inspire you and motivate you to also do the same if you're not already. But Most importantly, what I want to share with you today is that you do not need to be an expert to do this. You don't need to be the next Warren Buffett. You don't need to be a maths genius, far, far from it. All you need is consistency, discipline, and perseverance. So, again, just in case you're coming to us new and you're thinking, well, what is the Ladies Investing Club? Back at the beginning of our investment journey, we realized something quite early on that unfortunately, whether we were on the construction site, whether we were in the trading rooms, whether we were at wealth building networking gigs, that we were quite often the only women in the room. And that didn't always feel that empowering. And quite often or not, it felt quite intimidating. And we wanted to change that. We wanted to create a space where women could come together to have real, honest conversations, to have that safe place where we could speak up, we could ask the questions and not be ridiculed necessarily. That we could empower each other along our wealth building journeys. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a few slides' time. And so the mission of the Ladies Investing Club is to empower as many women as we possibly can to accelerate their journeys to financial independence and financial freedom. And we want to help them to do that by taking control of their finances. We want to help them to do that by getting really clear and gaining that clarity on their financial goals, becoming confident when it comes to their finances, their money, of how to invest and build their wealth, and then also just creating a community, like I said before, that allows women to come together and like-minded, wealth-minded women, ambitious, driven women wanting to come together in support of each other on this wealth building journey that we're all on. So there's a really great quote that I love, which I think really ties into the next couple of slides that I'm going to be talking about. There is an essential life skill that has never been taught to the masses: how to manage, control, and invest our money in order to protect and provide for our financial futures. And I know that that will resonate with a lot of you watching, because it resonated with me when I first read it, and I know from having hundreds of conversations with lots of women, that it also resonates with them as well. Because the cold, hard truth, the harsh truth, is that women specifically are falling behind in every single country in this world. And we call this the gender wealth gap. Now, the gender wealth gap is not just about how much money we make or we earn compared to men, but it is about how much we own and how much we keep and how much we have in terms of the value of our assets, our wealth. And despite, there being some significant gains made on the gender pay gap over the last couple of decades, unfortunately, the wealth gap sits at an eye-watering $100 trillion globally. And no one seems to really be talking about this stuff. Now, there's a few reasons why. Firstly, typically speaking, women, we earn less. We still get paid less than guys. We do lower paid jobs. We have less leadership positions. We have more time out of work doing the unpaid work, the caring role, the housework, the school runs, the shopping, all the meaningful jobs that society needs, but we don't necessarily get paid for it. And this means that we accumulate less wealth over our lifetimes. We're less financially literate. So this starts from a really young age. Often, as little girls being kind of brought up, we're influenced, of course, by our upbringing. Now, research suggests that boys are exposed way more to money management and skills needed to build wealth, much more than girls at that young, tender age. They are taught how to take risks. They're taught how to grow their money. They're taught about success. Whereas girls are more often than not, and still today, taught about savings, about budgeting, about safe money practices, which will not build wealth. And we're going to be talking about that more over the coming slides. We're also less financially literate, as I mentioned before, which leads to less financial confidence, which kind of makes sense, right? Many women feel like imposters in the investing space, in the investing domain. We feel like it's not for us. It's for others. It's for men in suits. It's for the experts. It's for the kind of the maths geniuses, people with money, people who know more, people who deserve it. And to make matters worse, women are severely underrepresented in the financial services industry as a whole. And let's face it, most of the people that sell us financial products are male. So we struggle to see role models in this space. And this affects our decision making, it affects our risk profile, and we just typically play it safe. And all of these reasons, all of these things that I've just described, means that we don't invest. Or when we do invest, we turn down the dial on our risk level and our investments, which impacts on our future wealth and financial growth. And if this applies to you, then maybe this is the time. Maybe you are exactly where you need to be right now in order to change that narrative. So just to give you a little bit of an example of the differences between cash ISAs and stocks and shares ISAs. Now, I mentioned before, when women tend to invest, they invest more conservatively. They save more than investing. But also much more women have, for instance, cash ISAs than stocks and shares ISAs. I think it's the stats are 28% of women invest compared to 45% of men. Now, I also just want to show you a typical example. If you were going to put your money into a cash ISA over the last 10 years, compared to if you were going to put it into a stocks and shares ISA over the same time horizon. Okay, so we'll put it back both up on the slide, these examples. So over the last 10 years, the average return of a cash ISA has been 1.21% compared to a stocks and shares ISA over the last 10 years, and this is factual. The average return has been 9.64% return. So if we were going to put 20K in a cash ISA over 10 years with that return, we would have accumulated 22,600. As opposed to if we had put it into a stocks and shares ISA at a 9.64% return, we would have accumulated £50,400, which is a difference of almost £28,000. And neither one of those scenarios required us to do anything. It was just a matter of knowing where to put our money in order to maximize our bottom line and make sure that our money is actually working as hard as it possibly could for us. Why does this matter? Well, it's a massive, massive problem. And again, it's not being spoken about enough because the reality is, ladies, we are the master species, right? We live longer than guys. So, and again, this is fact. In 2022, I think the stats were 82% of people living over 100 years of age, the centenarians, which I can never say right. In England and Wales, 82% were women. We live longer than guys, which means that we need more pension wealth, not less. But because we don't accumulate the same amount of wealth over the long term, we have less in our pension pots. We have less in our freedom pots, in our freedom funds, which leads to these really scary stats that I'm going to share with you now, which again is not being spoken about enough because again, the cold hard truth is more and more women are facing a real pension poverty crisis. They're facing a poverty trap when it comes to not having enough money to spend in retirement. Now, as we can see there, the average private pension in the UK for women sits at 69K as opposed to 166 for men. UK women would need to work an extra 19 years in order to accumulate the same amount of wealth as guys. And more than 2/3 of UK pensioners living in poverty in the UK are women. And unfortunately, again, the fact here is that the gender wealth gap would take 200 years to close. So we have to change this narrative. We have to be aware of this stuff, and we have to be taking the appropriate steps in order to change these stats for women. And it's not just about retirement security either. Wealth is also a massive, dimension of well-being overall, because Wealth, money, it's linked directly to happiness, to health, to life satisfaction, to fulfillment through its ability to allow us to fulfill our basic needs as human beings. Now, unfortunately, wealth is often seen as a dirty word. It can make us feel icky, uncomfortable, awkward. It's that big elephant in the room when we are speaking with our family, our friends, our business partners. It feels icky, and I don't know why, but it just does, especially in this country. Now, what we want to do is we want to bring that elephant fully into the room. We want to get women comfortable about speaking about wealth, about money, learning about it, getting excited about it, being more ambitious, more driven when it comes to building their wealth. So a couple of reasons why, I think wealth is really, really important, and these may resonate with you as well. Some maybe more than others. Now, firstly, freedom. It gives us options. It gives us freedom of choice and independence. It allows us to build our financial futures for us and our families. It allows us to enjoy our retirement no matter what age that we are. It allows us to do the things in life that gives us life energy, the things that that awaken our soul, that we enjoy doing, that make life worth living. Having those adventures and experiences, creating those memories, because the reality is no one on their deathbed wish that they died with more money in the bank. They wish that they'd spent it on more experiences, doing the things that aligned with their values, with their purpose, spending it with the people that really truly matter to them, creating that memory bank. And this is what brings true fulfillment to life. But the simple fact is, we need money in order to be able to do all of these things. Power. Wealth gives us power. Managing our money, it brings us a financial empowerment and self-determination, which feels absolutely incredible. Being in control feels good. There's nothing more unsettling than feeling like we're out of control of our financial situation. And if we flip that on its head and imagine how confident you would feel when you were truly in control of your money situation. It gives you that sense of security. It reduces fear and anxiety about the future. It allows us to sleep easy at night. And the effect that this has on our mental well-being just cannot be it cannot be underestimated. It's so powerful. And then lastly, last but not least, it gives us impact. Just think of some of the world's biggest philanthropists and how much good they're doing in the world. Imagine how empowering, and fulfilling it would be if you could put your money to really good causes that aligned with your values, that really meant something to you. And remembering that investing is a vital part of our economy as well. It makes the world go round. So by investing into companies, you are directly contributing to the economic growth, through human progress and innovation. So money's pretty important. So how do we build big wealth? How do we build big wealth that lasts? Well, we came up with a formula, with a strategy, with a framework. We call it the growth strategy. It's a super simple, adaptable way in which we can think about building big wealth that lasts. Each single letter around that framework, it represents a principle that's that certainly help to keep us focused, make better decisions, and avoid repeating old mistakes of the past. And it's what we're actively helping all the women that are coming through, seeking our help, that we're able to help throughout their wealth journeys. And it's something that we're super proud of. And essentially what makes up the handrail of everything that we do going forward, in terms of ensuring that we have a plan in place, a handrail for building that big wealth that lasts. And something that you'll see throughout is that none of these concepts are complex. They're not complex theories. They're practical, real world steps that everybody can start applying straight away. Now, firstly, So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the first principle in a little bit more detail with you on this particular video, and then I'm just going to give you a bit of an oversight into the rest of the principles in our growth strategy to just to give you a bit of a flavour of what this is all about. So, firstly, G, getting started. So this is the first step in our framework. So many women that I speak to feel stuck before they've even begun. The jargon, the charts, the headlines, it's overwhelming. They end up doing nothing at all, right? Because they can't get their head around all of that stuff. Because it's just, where do you even begin? It's not just because, they can't do it, or it isn't because they can't do it, but it's because no one's ever taken the time to explain it simply. As we mentioned before, as little girls, we're often not exposed to this stuff. And also as a population, we're not taught about the basic principles of wealth building in schools. So like of course it's going to feel overwhelming. And combine that with all the so-called experts using, quite often than not, super complex words, unnecessary jargon to make it feel even more complex and like it's a subject that you could never do on your own without their help. So we need to break things down. We need to simplify things. So in this particular module, when we look into how we get started, this is when you learn exactly how the stock market works. So this is where we teach what investing really means, how to open your first account with confidence, no guesswork, no confusion, no jargon. And by the end of module one, you go from being, overwhelmed to empowered. And that's the main takeaway from module one, getting started, finally being able to see investing as your pathway to freedom, not to fear. But the problem is, and something that we kind of come across quite a lot, is that the reality is, there are so many barriers in the way to why women just don't get started in the first place. So many factors that can just zap our motivation, things like fear of failure, kind of, fear of making mistakes. So for me personally, when I first started out investing, in my mid 30s, I was really fearful of making mistakes of the past because actually, our money mindset is established at a really young age, depending on, have you been born into poverty? Have you been born into, an affluent family? Have you been born into a recession? Have you been born into a really buoyant economy? Lots of different influences when we're growing up can really cement what our money mindset is from quite an early age. Now, for me, when I was kind of 3, 4 years old, we went through quite a difficult period when my mum went bankrupt. She lost her business. We lost our home. And we had to move across to the other side of the country. We, did some sofa surfing with some of their friends that allowed us to kind of have a roof over our head. And during that time of financial chaos, my money mindset was kind of being developed. Fast forward, to my early 20s, I that chaos played itself back out again. I ended up with a really bad gambling habit. I did lots of things that I'm not necessarily proud of. I made lots of mistakes. I racked up a lot of debt. And fast forward to my mid 30s, when I actually, wanted to start on my wealth building journey and secure my financial future, I had some real resistance to that because of the past mistakes that I'd made. So I think sometimes, it's a positive exercise to really kind of acknowledge and reflect on, what your kind of journey was when you were growing up and how did your kind of mindset develop and how did it kind of manifest and play itself out as you kind of went through the different decades of your life. Because I think just to recognize that is actually quite a powerful habit. Um, so just kind of to move on to some other things like analysis paralysis, we can, again, as women, we can, we want to know all the information. We want to know every single detail before we take action moving forward. And sometimes this can stop us doing anything in the first place. Something that we talk about quite a lot is, to whether we're kind of delivering on our investing programs, whether we're doing some live videos into the community, is, always start small. Start really small, start super simple, build up financial confidence, build up clarity in what we're doing. And build that up gradually as we go. Like anything, investing is a skill that we can absolutely break down into bite-sized chunks. As we move through that journey, we build the clarity, we build the confidence, we take action, and so on, and create that positive cycle. So some of these I'm sure resonate with you on the screen. Most of them resonate with me at some point or another along my investing journey. No accountability, not being surrounded by other like-minded, wealth-minded women that are going to support you, empower you, and hold you accountable throughout that journey as well. So all of these reasons is why it is so important to have a really clear vision of what you're doing, and the goals that are going to support you in order to get you to that vision is so critical to achieving your intended outcomes. So when I talk about that, that financial vision of where you're trying to get to, that financial vision that is so strong that you would literally walk through fire to get to it. Like, what is your why? Why are you doing this in the first place? And actually, that can really help with our motivation, our intrinsic motivation, especially when things are a little bit difficult or a little bit challenging, to keep going, to keep kind of moving forward in order to achieve those goals that we're trying to achieve. But during this kind of recording today, I didn't want to touch too much on financial vision, financial goals, money mindset barriers. But what I wanted to try and give a little bit of value to you today is another question that sometimes isn't necessarily at the forefront of our mind is, how much do you actually need? Like, what is your number? And your number, when I say this, is essentially the amount of money that you need invested to live the lifestyle that you want to live without having to exchange your time for money. Now, a simple formula in order for you to be able to try and figure this out, or certainly to just give yourself a target, is what we call the 4% rule. We call it the 4% rule, and it's one of the most common rules of thumb in personal finance. And it's a way that we can figure out what that freedom pot needs to be. So if I'm going to use an example here, as is on the slide, of £40,000. Now, £40,000, according to the latest research, is what would be required for a moderate retirement for a single person. Now, if we wanted to have a £40,000 yearly retirement goal, then we will times that by 25, which gives us an overall fund, an overall pot of £1 million. We can see that on the slide here. So that would give us an overall pot of £1 million. Now, the 4% rule comes in where we can now draw down 4% of that overall pot every single year of our retirement without ever worrying about running out of that money. Because something that obviously we're not going to be kind of chatting about today, but something that we go on into lots and lots of detail on our program, is the average annual yearly return of the global stock market is 7 to 8%. So if we're getting a return of 7 to 8% into the top of our fund, and we're drawing down 4% at the bottom of that fund, we've got a couple of percentage points in here for inflation. We know that we are protecting that capital based off those numbers for the long term. So it's almost, it's a degree of money that we know is going to last us throughout our retirement and beyond, potentially. Now, you can draw down more, you can draw down less, but this is just a bit of an example for you to get your head around if this is new. Now, this number is important, because having a target to aim for gives us something to aim for. It allows us to build back a roadmap in order to get ourselves to that number. It gives us a target to aim for, rather than thinking, oh, someday I'll retire. Don't really know when. I don't know how much I'm going to need, but someday it will happen. This will actually give you a target to aim for, and then we can build out our plan in order to get you there. Now, that number could be made up of your investment portfolio. That number can be made up of if you have property equity, it can be made up of that as well. Combination of both. But as I mentioned, what really, really matters is that you have a real target to aim for. And and more importantly, you can start to visualize what your life looks like when you hit that number. Which, for those of you that are into visualization, that again can be really, really powerful. Okay, so once you have your foundations nice and clear, so actually I'm just going to touch on this as well, one and two of the framework today. Once you've got your foundations really clear, the next question is, how are you actually going to grow your wealth? Okay, and this is when our risk and returns comes into it. So this is about understanding the mechanics of the market and how your wealth actually grows over time. Now, there's a little thing called the snowball effect, and I'm sure lots of you have heard about it, aka compound interest. Now, Einstein supposedly coined this as the eighth wonder of the world. Now, this is the idea that your cash gets invested into a pot. So we put the cash in, that earns interest on the top. Now, this new figure earns more interest, new figure earns more interest, interest, exponential growth happens over time. I think I've got a slide for you to show you that next. A little bit like a snowball, starting off really, really small at the top of the mountain, starting to roll down, picking up more snow, getting more powerful, getting bigger, getting quicker, getting faster, more powerful, bigger. And that is essentially what is happening to our wealth over time when we let compound interest do the heavy lifting for our cash. So the simple takeaway here is start now, keep reinvesting, adding the snow to your snowball, keep going and just wait. And that's how we turn small amounts of money into real wealth over time. So this is a little bit of an example. Now I know, so lots of women that we have on our investing programs are really, really focused on building generational wealth for their family. So this is a little bit of an example to show you how that works over time, how compound interest works over time. So let's use the example that your parents had invested 5K into your junior ISA when you were born. They invested £200 a month into that junior ISA until you were 18 years of age. Now, 18, they handed you that ISA, they handed it over to you. It then turned into a fully fledged ISA because you were then 18. They'd also instilled basic principles of wealth building throughout your childhood. So you were raring to go to take that over and keep going. You then took it over at 18. You kept going, you kept reinvesting, adding snow to your snowball. And by the age of 45 here, you were now an ISA millionaire. So that's 1.25 million. Okay, 1.25 million. Now that's not 1.25 million leveraged with debt. That's not money, 1.25 million, that you will lose half on in tax when you want to access it. Because when we invest rather into our ISAs, we are able to then draw it down completely tax-free, which is one of the best things about being British still. So you would be an ISA millionaire with over £1 million in tax-free cash. So I think when we see this, what is possible for our futures, for our families' futures, I think investing really starts to become interesting. And this is the basic stuff that we are not taught in schools. That needs to change. Okay, so The rest of the risk of returns module, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of an insight, is, you're going to learn how risk actually works for you as well, not against you. Okay, because risk is the number one thing that scares people off. The idea of losing money makes most of us freeze with fear, because the fear of losing far outweighs the sense of winning, or the thought of winning. It can just freeze us in our tracks. So during this module, we explore what volatility means. Now, we teach our members how to spread risk across different assets, how to use time to your advantage. And so during module 2 of our framework, here is when you'll learn how to turn fear into fuel, mastering the balance of risk and reward so that you can invest with confidence and grow your money without fear of losing it. So I'm just going to give you again a little bit of an insight into the rest of the modules that make up our framework of paycheck to portfolio. Because again, you're here today because you've taken action and you want to build a big wealth that lasts. So the third module is all about optimization, because once people start investing, they often ask, am I doing this right? They want to know how to make their money work as hard as possible without making it more complicated. So, what you will learn throughout our third module here is how to optimize your investments by choosing the right platform that aligns with your goals, making it simple and stress free. Plus, we also cover how to invest tax efficiently so you keep more of what you earn. And that is one of the most important things. So, you're going to unlock the insider secrets to become a super savvy, tax smart investor who makes her money work smarter, not harder. So, module number 4 is well balanced, because too many new investors either go all in on one stock or spread themselves so thinly that they lose track of what they own in the first place. So the balance is what keeps you steady when the markets move. So that's really important. So what you'll learn here is you'll learn how to build a well-balanced portfolio, one that fits your lifestyle, your goals, and most importantly, your peace of mind. You'll create a portfolio that grows quietly in the background. Remember when me and Cersei were sleeping at the beginning of the presentation, earning money while we sleep. So you'll continue to grow that money quietly in the background, stable, steady, and working for the life that you want. The penultimate module that we teach on our Paycheck to Portfolio program then is time and tactics. So impatience is the investor's biggest enemy. In a world built on instant gratification, that's for sure, it's easy to expect quick results. That whole like get rich quick overnight, get rich quick schemes that are like in abundance out there. But truth wealth is built over time, not overnight. So here you'll uncover how to make how to make time your superpower through consistency, automation, and smart investing habits. We're going to show you simple tactics in order to stay invested. Keep your costs low and your any fees as low as possible. Sometimes they can be hidden in the background, and if we don't realize and we don't know about it, it can cost us significantly over the long term. So we help you to keep costs low, to know what to look out for, and to let compounding do the heavy lifting for you. So your wealth building becomes effortless, easy, carefree, not overwhelming, and not taxing. This is passive wealth building. You're going to leave thinking like a calm, confident long-term investor, focused, purposeful, and ready to stay on course no matter what the markets do. And then the last module that we cover on our Paycheck to Portfolio program is H, higher risk. So at this stage, you might be feeling ready to level up. And lots of the ladies that we have taken through our programs do feel like this. They're ready to do a little bit more, explore a little bit more, but fear of losing it all can hold them back, or can hold you back from exploring maybe other bigger opportunities. So what we teach on This module is you'll learn about higher risk strategies, when to consider them, how to do it safely, and how to step into bigger opportunities without losing your cool. You're going to learn the approach of higher risk opportunities with clarity and control, stepping into growth with confidence, not emotion, which again, we take the emotion out of it, and knowing you're still playing a smart long term game. So, lots and lots and lots of you have been asking about how to get enrolled in our next investing cohort. You've been also asking some questions about it as well, which I'm going to be answering in the next couple of slides. What's included, what's involved. So hopefully I've given you a good insight into the framework that we use, what that's made up from, and what you're going to go away with over the 6 weeks that we teach this investing program on. So you will become an independent, confident investor in just 6 weeks without the need for a financial advisor or a wealth coach. We help you actively implement your strategy. So that's really important. We actually hold your hand throughout this whole entire process, helping you to set up the accounts and even helping you to click on your first buy, your first purchase. You will have a clear trajectory of your wealth building roadmap, and we'll take you through every single step of that journey to your freedom number that we mapped out really briefly before, but we go into lots more detail on the program. We'll map out exactly how you're going to get there, and you're going to leave with a wealth building strategy that is 100% passive. So we're not refurbing properties. We're not kind of sitting, buying individual stocks and selling individual stocks. We're not, having to set up new side hustles, new businesses. This is 100% passive wealth building. Really, really important. So once you are set up, once you've got started, you won't have to lift another finger month to month ever again with this strategy. So what does it look like then? It's 6 weeks of coaching. So we have 6 sessions, 6 modules that I've kind of demonstrated to you this evening, which we cover over 60 to 90 minutes per week. So this program will be starting on the 26th of January for our next cohort from 7 p.m. So 60 to 90 minutes. If you can't do any of the sessions live, don't fear, because everything is recorded and you get lifetime access to everything that we deliver, including all of our tools, all of our spreadsheets, all of our calculators, everything that we use to build our own portfolio. You will get access to that. You will be able to download your own copies, and you've got everything for life, including all of the live recordings, which will be held within our exclusive online portal, which you have access to forever. Each individual session, there's also Q&A. So we deliver everything live. So if you are able to join us live on the sessions, you get live access to us to ask us any questions you like. We essentially don't finish the sessions until everyone has got the questions that they want to ask answered. Obviously, you can leave earlier, but we will stay on until everyone has had all of their questions answered. So you're gonna learn the exact methodology that we use to choose which funds to invest into. So to ensure that you are maximizing your wealth potential whilst keeping it super simple and as effortless as possible. We're even going to throw in a step-by-step guide trading to how to trade with 212. So you're going to learn which accounts you use to make tax efficient investments, how to navigate the platform. Again, we're going to teach you this step by step, how to search for your investments, how to choose ready-made pies or build your own pies, how to set up the automations to make investing entirely passive, how to earn big interest on your cash whilst that sits in your account. So some little hacks there. And we're also going to include an introduction to the 2 ways to analyze individual stocks. So technical and fundamental analysis is also included within this section. You're also going to learn how to decipher investing lingo. Again, just cutting through all the nonsense, all of the jargon designed to, confuse you perhaps. or overwhelm you or overwhelm us mere mortals. So we're going to cut through all of that. We're going to make it super, super simple. So you are going to sound like a pro when it comes to investing lingo. So as well as being able to impress your friends and family with your newfound knowledge, you're going to be able to focus on exactly what you need to do in order to make smart investments that align with your goals, which is really important. And if that wasn't enough, we also are going to be including some really, really valuable extras. So you can see there all of the additional extras that we are including within this program values over £500, but you're going to get this completely free of charge. So we've got how to invest for every decade of your life. So we have women from their teens. We've had an 18-year-old on our previous cohort, all the way up to early 70s. So no matter what decade of life you're coming in at this from, there is a strategy for you in order to be able to build a big wealth that lasts. Number 2 is going to be your full guide to asset classes, including crypto, gold 101, so your investing blueprint for that, the rookie's guide to investor tax, or the rookie investor's guide to tax, the top UK 5 investing platforms, and lots of detail on all of those, and the 5 ways to earn an extra £250 a month of income through side hustles. So they're all completely free with our program that you get instant access to as well. So just to recap then, we've got 6 weeks worth of coaching delivered live by me and Steph every single week with Q&A delivered throughout. Also, in between each session, you've got access to me and Steph via our online Circle platform. So to ask any questions that you've got throughout the week, anything that's come to mind that you want us to answer, because sometimes we don't think about things in the sessions, or you don't think about some questions to ask. So we're there for you week by week. So you can access us. We've also got a community there where we can share insider tips with you. We can we can collaborate on certain things, and we can bring you into it. So it's a nice community feel. All the tools that, again, you get complete instant access to, that have helped us to build out our portfolio, all of our methodology, and all of the extra guides that we have already just mentioned. So the program value then is a total of $14,997 for this particular program for everything that I've just mentioned. However, we've got a special sale price on for January, which is priced at $749, which is everything that I have just gone over. But that is not all. Despite everything that I've gone over, all of the free guides and extra tools, spreadsheets, calculators that we're also including, we are also giving away completely free of charge our Building Your Millionaire Mindset online workshop that you will again get instant access to as soon as you sign up. So here you're going to be able to learn how to turn vague money goals into a clear, practical financial plan that you can follow. You can replace guesswork with a simple and effective budgeting system. So we're going to teach you all about the different investing pots, how to manage your money, how to make sure that you're telling your money where to go, whether rather than wondering where it went, and then also how to create a reliable monthly financial surplus in order to be able to invest your future you. So that is completely free. That is around about 4 hours worth of content that you have instant access to be able to help you on your wealth building journey. And that's normally priced at $497 that you get completely free with this program. So as I mentioned before, risk, the fear of losing money is often a big barrier for a lot of us, especially for women. So we recognize that. So we wanted to be able to give a risk-free guarantee to everybody that signs up to our program, and that we will essentially work with you until you are actively, confidently, and independently investing in the stock market. So that's what our course will take you from. Over the 6 weeks, we will give you everything that you need to go from overwhelmed and complete beginner to confident, independent investor. And if you're not, by the end of the 6 weeks, our guarantee to you is that we will keep working with you until you are. Okay, so just to recap then, we have our 6 weeks of coaching paycheck to portfolio program, all of the tools, the calculators, the spreadsheets that we use to actively manage our own portfolio and grow our own portfolio. You get all of them included absolutely free with this program, all of our methodology using our growth strategy framework, Trading 212 walkthrough, investing lingo guides so you can sound like a pro, all of our other hacks and guides and tips in order for you to be able to accelerate your journey to financial independence and freedom. Everything included completely free with regards to this program. The Millionaire Mindset workshop that you also get instant access to as soon as you sign up, worth for 497 on its own, which we're giving away completely free. And the risk-free guarantee that you'll also be getting to give you that peace of mind that this is going to be a worthwhile investment for you. But there's not only that, we also are giving a very, very special limited time only offer today for those of you that have downloaded the 3 steps to investing guide. You will also be getting an extra little discount from our sale price. So for the next few days only, this everything that we've included today in this program to kick off your 2026 with a massive bang, to take control of your financial futures for only an investment of 599. So I said I would give a few little moments here to just kind of hopefully answer any of the questions that you've got in your mind, also to allow you to see some of the many, 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 many 5-star reviews that we've got on our Google page, which you are very welcome to go and check out from our previous cohorts of amazing women that have been through the Paychecks and Portfolio program. So I think I've already mentioned it. When does it start? 7 p.m. Monday, the 26th of January. What happens if you miss any sessions? All sessions are recorded, so you have a lifetime access to the entire program, all of the bonuses, the Building Your Millionaire Mindset online workshop, which is about 4 hours worth of content as well that you'll get lifetime access to, all of the guides, all of our tools, everything included. You have always got access to those. Is this for you? Well, if you want to build a wealth that lasts, then yes, it's absolutely for you. Are you too old? As long as you have 5 years minimum in order to invest in this particular passive wealth building strategy, then no, you are not too old. Like I mentioned before, we have women in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, even their 70s who are building significant wealth. And what I would say is if you are starting this a little bit later, then, thankfully, as we get a little bit older, we also acquire a few little things that maybe we didn't have in our teens, our 20s, our 30s, even our 40s, where we have got the discipline, the perseverance. We're surrounded by potentially better influences. We've got a community to help us stay accountable. We have, generally speaking, got more surplus income than maybe we did when we were younger. So we're able to catch up and accelerate that progress. Or that process rather. What exactly will you learn? Well, hopefully I've given you a little bit of insight throughout this recording, where we've gone into a little bit more detail on module 1 and 2, or some of the things, maybe some of the aha moments that I was able to share with you today, how you could even kind of go about figuring out what that freedom number is, how we can do that, and also just the power of compound growth, compound interest, and how we can use that as a tool to really accelerate our journeys to financial independence and freedom. Will it be hard? Is a question that I get asked sometimes as well. No, because we have purposely built out this course to break everything down, to make it as easy to understand as possible. Investing does not need to be complex in any way, shape, or form. And we've created this program for busy women as well that are juggling a lot of things. Essentially, what we will cover in each one of our sessions is all you need to know to go from knowing nothing or being overwhelmed or not quite knowing where to start, or maybe you've got a few investments, but you don't really understand what it is you're doing, to confident and independent investor building out their freedom fund. So we, across the 6 weeks, will give you everything in those sessions that you need to know in order to be able to do that. Will you have the time? Well, if you've got 60 to 90 minutes per week, then yes, you've absolutely got time to do this. And again, to kick off your January, your 2026 with a massive bang of taking control and stepping into your financial power and your financial brilliance. So the code on the screen there is to take you straight through to the program page. Again, you get way more detail on there if you'd like to go and have a look at exactly what's covered in each one of the modules. There's also a bit.ly link there to take you through. If you're on your phone, if you've got your phone to hand, you're watching this on a laptop, maybe you can scan the QR code, or if you're watching this on your phone, there's hopefully a nice easy link for you to be able to remember to tap in. The doors are open, but only for a limited period of time. So the discount that you have got, for those of you that are watching this particular video, you're watching this because you have downloaded our 3 steps to investing. You've taken that first step of action. You've got started. So for you, to give you an extra boost, hopefully, in that wealth building journey, to thank you for taking action, and to give you something back for taking that action, you've got an extra bonus for this particular program. There is limited places. Once the places have gone, we shut the doors because we like to keep this super, super intimate. If you want to go and see any more of our reviews, we've got lots more at the QR code on the screen there. You've got some more information on there as well if you would like it. If you would like to talk to us one-to-one, just hit reply to this email, and we are always on hand to answer any questions that you've got. And we hope to see you on our next program, and we hope to be able to really help you in your journey to building long-term wealth that lasts, that secures your financial future, that helps you to create that safety net, to give you the choice, the options, the freedom to choose when you want to stop working, or when you want to work a little bit less. Or maybe this is about creating generational wealth for your family. Whatever that is, we are very, very excited to help you on that journey. Take care.